Hello, everyone. Welcome to Live with Cami. If you're listening to this on our podcast, it's Homeschool Success with Cami Wanis. I am so excited because today we are talking about, if you have one kid that's like really into one thing, they're like super into one topic, whatever that might be, one subject, it doesn't even have to be academic, but they're just really into that one thing. And then if you're following interests and stuff, that can be a real hyper focus for them. And then in your homeschooling, some other subjects and topics might go by the wayside. So, we're going to talk about how to broaden your teens' education if they're super hyper focused. And the reason why I'm talking about teens today, it goes for middle school too-ish, but we'll talk a lot more about that in a minute. But the reason why I'm talking about teens is because that's when we really need to kind of like, okay, let's apply this to other things. I mean, we still want to do that at a lower age as well, but we really kind of need to focus on that for the high school years and everything if we really want them to get a truly great education. So let me do some housekeeping first. And I want you to put in the chat, if you're watching this right now, I want you to put in what your kid is really into. What is your kid really into? And I'm going to tag everybody in the group real quick because I want to make sure that everybody knows where we are. So let me just do that real quick here. So put in the chat what your kid is really, really into. If they're into, like, really into, anime, if they're really into video, like World War II. I have a friend her son is really into World War II. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to put this in the comments right now. Join me live to learn about broadening. I'm not one of those people who can type and talk at the same time, so I have to literally read it to you. Your teens, your hyper-focused teens. Oh my gosh, seriously, people. I wish it would go a lot faster. I need an assistant. Anybody ready to be my assistant? Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Okay, so if you have a teen that is hyper focused, somebody who's like really into one subject, that's what we're talking about today, okay? All right, you guys. So let's talk about why this topic is super important, because don't we want our kids to be interested, and we want to follow their interests, and we want to make sure we include their interests in their education? Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it is so important to get their buy-in, right? To make them feel like, hey, the stuff I want to learn about is important too. We have all this learning that's like school type learning. And if they've been in school at all, or if they've been educationally shoulded on, you guys know educational should on your shoulders. And as a parent, and even as a kid, if they've been in public school, then what happens is they have this idea that there's this boring stuff for school and it's important learning, but it's not that interesting, right? And then here's the stuff I'm interested in, and it's really cool and it's really fun, but it's not important. And what we want to do is we want to bridge that gap, right? That's the goal. That's the goal. That's what we do, Inspiring Lifelong Learning, in the program. That's what we do. Just talk to me. If you don't have that in your house, let's chat, because we want to get that happening for you. So your kids know, yeah, this is something that we can learn in our interests and include that, but we're going to bridge the gap to where we're still learning that other stuff too. And hey, guess what? It's kind of cool, right? And depending on your child's love of learning level, don't forget to grab the assessment on that. We have a free assessment, Love of Learning assessment. It's in every single one of the notes that we have. It's pinned to the top of our webpage, thefreedomscholar.com. Make sure you grab that. It's so huge. So you can take an assessment of your child's level of love of learning. If it's high and they're really into their interests, cool. We can start to make some changes. If it's low, we can't. Right? We have to stay in their interests until their love of learning gets high. Okay. So that's my little caveat there. We do want to stay in their interests, and we can bridge the gap so we are doing their interests and we're learning the other stuff too. I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. So, but tell me in the comments, like I said, tell me in the comments what your kid is really, really into. I had a post on this in our Facebook group the other day, and we got some great ideas. I'll share more about that later, but we want to do is we want to get our kids level of love of learning really high. And at the teen years, we got to do that kind of quickly because we don't have much time with them, right? We don't have much time left to really get them a great education because they're going to have to learn some things that maybe are outside of the interest area. How do we do that? I have a whole nother live on that, a whole nother podcast episode. Check that out in the replays because it is definitely something you want to learn, is to know how to really get your kids to be able to get outside of their interest area, right? So, and to really kind of push themselves a little bit harder, because man, thinking's hard. It's not, sometimes it's really not fun. And you got to really have a high level of love of learning so that you can go, okay, we'll study Euclid, we'll study geometry or something like that, right? So we want to really, really check that out. So make sure that the love of learning is really high. And if it's not, you need to check with me. You need to send me a message. You need to book a call and let's figure out how to get that higher, because that is super duper important. So as they get older, we want to really kind of try to push them out of their comfort zones a little bit, but still include their interests. Well, how the heck do you do that? I know, because we don't want to be box checkers, right? But we want to be making sure that they get a rich, deep, broad education, a capital G, capital E, great education, right? That's what we want. So let's think about this. So we can do this in a lot of ways, but the best way is to take their interest first. And even if their level of learning is not super great, you can do this. You can take their interest and include other subjects in their interest. Okay. So let's say you want to build a skate park. Let's say you want to I just talked with a young man yesterday, I think it was yesterday, that he was really into chess. He just loves chess. He's all about chess. And it's so great. I love this kid. He's super awesome. So I said, what if you created a online game where you use specific different strategies than you previously have used before? If you've learned before, it's a way for you to learn different strategies. Would that be super cool? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, what's in there? You got to learn coding. You got to learn math. You got to learn marketing. I mean, if you want to get it out there, really, right? You got to learn writing skills. Ooh, did you know that was involved in there? You got to learn history. What are the chess moves? Strategy, critical thinking. A lot of these are math skills too. But you have to learn a lot about all of these things that are within this one subject matter. Okay. So this is what we call project-based learning. So you guys might have heard of this before. Project-based learning is really, really fun. And it's about getting your kid to want to build something, to want to do something, to want to create something, to want to present something, to want to there's a project, right? There's some kind of project that they want to do. And then we include all the steps that we include along the way to get to that project. Include other subjects. Okay. Project-based learning is a great way to keep your kids' interest, but still bring in other subjects too. Okay. And then there's also, you can you can go down rabbit trails. So apply their interest to other subjects. Like if you've got younger kids or even older kids too, but we want to really push them a little bit beyond the like rabbit trail mode at this point if they're teens. Okay. But little kids and middle school age, even, you can go through and you can say, okay, you guys are into, your favorite thing. One of our Facebook post responders was their favorite thing was Pokemon. Okay, so her child's favorite thing is Pokemon. How can we study math and Pokemon? Well, there's drawing, which is art, but there's math in there too, right? We can study colors and color palettes. We can study, there's lots of history there because I can't even believe how long the Pokemon thing has really lasted, you guys. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Hasn't it lasted a long time, right? It's so crazy. So, yeah, you can include history, you can include how to be an artist, the role of an artist, you can include the story, how do you come up with a story, they can come up with their own story based on the Pokemon character. Now we're writing, I mean, do you see how all this stuff is happening? There's a lot of information, a lot of subject matters you can include into just the subject of Pokemon, right? Now, of course, let's say we don't want to be in that Pokemon subject forever. Okay, let's create your own character. Let's do something outside of the Pokemon world that still relates to anime or still relates to that genre, because you can start to move them a little bit further out, right? You can do so much awesomeness with going down rabbit trails. Rabbit trails are so cool and they're really important. So one of the reasons why I'm talking about this today is because these last few months, actually, my 15-year-old has been deep, deep, deep into, and he kind of hyper focuses like this all the time. He'll go down a whole rabbit trail of hyper focusing on one thing, and then he'll hyper focus on something else, and then he'll hyper focus on something else. And that's okay. I will cover a lot of bases within that realm. I'm cool with that. But these last few months, he's been deep. It seems like a much longer time period than usual, deep into leadership and success principles. Now, you guys know I am all about leadership and success principles. I love it. It's a constant conversation in our home. I've spent 20 years studying leadership and success principles and teaching it and living it and learning. And oh my gosh, you guys, it's so amazing. I love it. We have so many books. We have so many audios and videos and all kinds of things that I'm constantly still learning leadership and success principles. So I love it. However, my son, whenever he gets a chance, he crosses by a bookshelf, which always has some kind of leadership and success principle book in it. He'll pull one out and he'll start reading it. And I'm like, okay, what did you read today? Or what did you read just now? And he was like, well, I was reading 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And I'm like, okay, I love that. Or he's reading Orrin Woodward's Resolved, or he's reading First Things First, or he's reading Leadership, or he's reading, there's so many books he's reading on success principles. And you guys, I am all about this. I am so into it, but it's taking the place of us doing other subjects because we're really into, like, you guys know, if you've been following me for a while, you know that Kenyon's up for his brown belt. He's going for brown belt next Saturday. Sorry, it's a week and a few days from now. So about a week and a half. He's going up for his brown belt in Kaji Kembo, and it's a mixed martial art, and it's a huge deal. He had to do a 2-day pre-test just to get into the test. So it's so exciting. However, it has taken over our world right now. And I'm like, dude, you have to really start to balance a little bit and still delve into some of the other topics and the other subjects as well. And he's like, okay. And I said, but here's this. Why don't you take that? Now, leadership and success principles is a very broad topic that really can apply to everything in your life, right? So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, that's an easy one, where you just say, okay, and we've really done that. We've taken that and applied it to everything. Okay, well, how about we apply that leadership and success principle to a schedule so that we can get our things done in a timely manner, and you can actually study more leadership and success principles while you're doing your other studies as well. And he's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Or we get our practice done faster so that we can do these other things. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Let's create a mindset of priorities and then let's go from there, right? Leadership and success principles way up there, but they can't be, we have to apply that somewhere. We have to take it and apply it. Like one of the one of the Facebook post comments was a mom that said her child is really into math. I mean, wow. I mean, that's so cool. I've heard from a couple parents that say their kids are really into math, and that is awesome to me because I wasn't that kid. And so, really into math, you could take that and apply it to so many different areas. Apply it to chess. The kid that I was talking to that says that he loves chess so much, he also likes pool. Well, guess what? Those are very similar. There's strategy, there's math involved, it's problem solving. There is, there's a lot of the similarities there. So, it's so cool. I love that. But what if you have something like tanks? That's a weird one, right? So, one of the moms, she said her kid's really into tanks. Okay, well, let's take tanks as a subject, as an interest, and let's study everything around it. And I know this mom, it's Christine Owens, our wonderful, awesome poetry, a year of poetry tea time leader. And she has her child doing a massive amount of rabbit trails. I can tell you that much on tanks. So when they study tanks, they don't just study tanks, they study people, biographies, history. They study how they are used. They study the practicality of it. They study the engineering of it. They study different tanks, like so different eras of tanks. They study all kinds of things about tanks, and that might lead them into, what wars were they used? Well, why were those wars done? Well, what who engineers these? Like, how are they built? How why would you use a separate company? Who thinks up these things? What kind of a profession thinks up these things? How do I get that done? Right. We're doing all of these rabbit trails, and we're really going into, okay, maybe we can study a little bit of ammunitions, other, tactics, war tactics, or battle tactics, or just there's so much, like study heroes, study, like the metals and what they're for, what kind of materials. I mean, now we're into science, right? It's so cool. We can do all kinds of things. And I know she's done that, right, Christine? She's done all of those things. But that's a rabbit trail. So rabbit trails, project-based learning, those are super great ways, and just apply it to your life. There was another mom that said, countries of the world. Her daughter loves countries of the world. Okay, well, that's crazy. I mean, I was like, okay, is it like the culture of the countries or the geography, or is it the food maybe? I mean, there's so many cool things you can do with the countries of the world. You can get a great education by studying the countries of the world, right? I mean, that's just kind of fun. So you can put in writing and speaking and math and reading and history and science and all of those things, right? So we can pull them together, but we do want to make sure that we're able to push them a little bit out by the time they're teens, out of the subject matter a little bit into other subjects that perhaps might are not interesting, or if you haven't followed it down the road. So by the time they're older teens, you can say, okay, we've studied every Tom, Dick, and Harry thing from about tanks and history, and it's led us to all this amazingness. You can do a lot of studying of, within the rabbit trail of tanks, right? So what are some areas that we haven't studied? I mean, what are some areas that we've kind of skipped over a little bit? And then you can kind of dive in there. But you can't do it unless the inspiration and culture and environment of your home inspires a high level of love of learning. If you try to do that without it, it's going to backfire on you. You're going to get complaining, and you're going to lower love of learning. Okay? Because we know interests are super, super important. So, what I want you to do is to take the assessment, Love of Learning Assessment. It's totally free, it's a PDF. You can download it, take it right now for you and your kids, you and your kids, you and your kids. And then it will give you a baseline for where you're at right now, and then you can periodically retake it to see where you're at as like a checkup, right? So, but if it's not super duper high, we need to chat. Okay, we need to chat, and we need to talk about how to get it higher so that you can do a little more. You can inspire them to get out of the comfort zone a little bit. And so I can tell my child, hey, leadership and success principles, is my like, it fills my soul, right? It's amazing. I love it. But let's take that and let's put it into some other things, into things that we're all that we need to work on. We need to do better. Let's apply it. Let's study them more, but let's apply it too. Okay. And we're already doing all of the things around the leadership and success principles. And he instigated that. He's really into AI and he went on a whole AI tangent. He's still kind of in there. He's went on a whole coding thing. He went on a whole history, just kids kind of do that. And we all do that. We're really into this for a while, then we're really into that for a while. And that's just how our brains work. But if we can harness it to really be intentional, you guys know about how I am with intentionality. I am all about being intentional with everything that you do, every single thing, so that we can keep love of learning high and that we can get the kids out of their comfort zone and have them do the hard work of learning outside of their interests eventually. Okay. So like I said, if you have a child that's hyper focused, and if you get out of that, you're going to be like, whoa, we're going to start lowering level of love of learning. Let's talk. Message me, email me, mentor@thefreedomscholar.com. Send me a message or book a call. I have my information everywhere about booking a call. And so let's do that and just let's get together and let's get that higher, because you guys and we don't have much time with our teens. We have to really get that level of learning high so that we can get them into really having a capital G, capital E, great education. You guys, I'm so excited for this. This is something that we're doing right now. I'm in the thick of it with you. We're learning together and I am sharing exactly. This is a road that's been traveled for us over and over again, because like I said, he's gone down a lot of rabbit trails. We've hit a point now where we can say, okay, let's move a little outside of that. And he's like, okay, yeah, let's do that. But that can't happen if love of learning is not super high. So let's get in touch. Let's talk. I'm super excited for you guys. And I will be back next week with this is so perfect. We're going to be talking about skills of the future with Julia Piccirizzi. I love her name. It's so fun. So we're going to be talking about skills for the future next week. I hope to see you guys there. Have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful rest of your week. Bye-bye.